morning.
Welcome to the Portland City Council. The City Council represents all Portlanders and meets to do the city's business. The presiding officer preserves order and decorum during City Council meetings so that everyone can feel welcome, comfortable, respected, and safe. To participate in council meetings, you may sign up in advance with the council clerk's office for communications to speak briefly about any subject. You may also sign up for public testimony on resolutions or the first readings of ordinances. Your testimony should address the matter being considered at the time. When testifying, please state your name for the record. Your address is not necessary. And please disclose if you are a lobbyist. If you are representing an organization, please identify it. The presiding officer determines the length of the testimony. Individuals generally have 3 minutes to testify unless otherwise stated. When you have 30 seconds left, a yellow light goes on. When your time is done, a red light goes on. If you are in the audience and would like to show your support for something that is said, please feel free to do a thumbs up. If you want to express that you do not support something, please feel free to do a thumbs down. Disruptive conduct, such as shouting or interrupting testimony or council deliberations, will not be allowed. If there are disruptions, a warning will be given that further disruption may result in the person being ejected for the remainder of the meeting. After being ejected, a person who fails to leave the meeting is subject to arrest for trespass. Thank you for helping your fellow Portlanders feel welcome, comfortable, respected, and safe.
Thank you. Communications is up first, please, Carla.
Item 1136, request of Craig Rogers to address council regarding trust and local government.
Greg
Good
Rogers.
morning.
My name is Craig Rogers. I live in Portland where everything's okay and nobody's responsible. The bar's so low, I need a shovel to find it.
Whoa.
I listened to NPR and I was listening to a speech pathologist. And she stated that for someone to really hear what you're saying, you need to repeat yourself 3 times. Well, if you've been married, you know that's true. That actually, I think she's wrong, because if you come down here to city council with some members of council, you can say it 100 times and they won't hear you. I'm really excited because throughout your life, you come across this questionnaire, which would you rather be? One of the things is invisible. The way you're invisible, you come down to city council and you tell the truth. So the cornerstone of a functioning democracy is transparency and accountability. And right here, the Washington Post, which was instrumental in exposing Watergate, it says right here, democracy dies in darkness. And this was groundbreaking, this 2016 community survey. If you look at it, everything's headed down. This was November 2016. Things haven't gotten better since then. And so now there's another survey going on, but it's not out of the auditor's office, so I really have questions of whether I'm going to trust it or not. Because I'm wondering, Ted, if it's just to kind of make you feel good and fool the citizens that everything's better. Because here you're saying in the Tribune, mayor believes city's future bright. Well, I'm not seeing it. You know, where when you had your Portland is not a tent city news powwow down here, I could walk out my front door and see one right next door. And because there's a Portland Park there, and it became a bed and breakfast for the homeless. And there were numerous assaults going on there. I've been down here more than once, told you the face of homelessness in the city is the one with a black eye and a bloody nose. And nothing was done about it, so I had to do it. See all these phone numbers and business cards and everything? I was the guy, and I connected the school district and everybody else to get things taken care of. So, I've heard something that really opened my eyes. It says, where you stand on an issue is determined by where you sit. You sat down here. I invited you numerous times to come out there. You never did. I don't think really you know what's going on. And I started out kind, cordial. You know what? I'm past that now. No more kind and cordial. You would not accept my invitation to be at the East Portland Community Center and walk across. So at this time, I don't have any doubt that you would sacrifice my neighborhood and this entire city for another rung on your political ladder.
Whoa!
Woo!
Can I ask you a question? When did you invite me to the East Portland communities? Because I've been there many times, and I don't recall receiving the invitation. I'd be happy to
Michael
go.
Cox and I spent literally hours having coffee together before you were elected, after you were elected. You know, I got a large union to endorse you, and it's not easy to get in touch with you personally. So via Michael Cox, I'm sending pictures, descriptions. I mean, that was your chief.
We have many conversations in this council chamber, and I don't believe you've ever asked me. I'm more than happy to do it.
I've been down here several times, the same subject comes up and where it's at. So if you wanted to help,
Ted's got
it
like
actually
a
was from a group that
photographic
was
memory.
testifying, a
He
group of women
remembers
that
every
they had
detail.
during the second
Craig,
police.
I think what he's signaling to you is that if you extend that invitation again, he'll accept it. And
I'd be happy to.
So I think
I will also-
you made a compelling argument, so I would.
I will also bring somebody from the Joint Office of Homeless Services, because I know that they have been in touch with.
You know, you tell me what kind of coffee you drink and I'll get it from Starbucks and have it ready for you.
What's stronger the better.
Can I also-
I prefer gas station coffee, but the stronger the better.
Yeah, okay.
Craig, can I also
said
just
that.
So how
respond?
can I be in touch with you, Ted?
It's natural.
Just leave me your contact information.
Well, you
She's
know,
upset.
that email thing, you've told me that before and
Listen, I have, 640,000 constituents, and I'm telling you right here in public, I will come out and I will meet with you. You come here on a regular basis, you raise this issue, I tell you what we do, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna show you what we do. And I will bring the people who actually do the work with me. And then
Great.
we can have a conversation and hopefully it's a very positive.
because, yeah,
So Mayor, Craig, so just one other
There's the
thing.
stop right there.
One other thing,
Sure,
because
today.
you raised a question that wasn't focused so much at the mayor as the council. I want to just give you just a quick update. The community survey used to be done by the auditor's office. It is now going to be done by the independent budget office, and as you know, a number of people on council fought hard to make sure the budget office is independent and operates independently. They are issuing what's called a RFQ, a request for qualifications, I think this week or next week, to hire a polling firm, a professional outfit that does scientific survey work. I did not find the survey particularly helpful at budget time because it didn't help me decide what we would do if they do forced choices. One of the things I'd like to see is a survey where the public is telling us what they care about, if they had $1 extra to invest, where they would invest it, as well as giving us grades in how we're running our bureaus. So if you have thoughts for how you think that survey can be improved, would you stop by and talk to Jamie in my office?
one very brief thing. The most intelligent thing I ever heard said about data was old Uncle Joe Stalin. He said it's not those who vote that determine the outcome of an election, it's those who count the votes.
Item 1137, request of Charles Bridge Crane Johnson.
Rich Gray.
Council regarding hashtag Blue Wave or hashtag Red Tsunami, and congratulations, Governor.
Good morning.
Good morning, councilors. Thank you, voters of Oregon. As you may have noticed when Carla read that, it only says to address council regarding blue wave or red tsunami and congratulations, Governor. And I was terrified that I might have to finish that sentence saying Governor-elect Newt Bueller. But the voters of Oregon have enough sense. The $2 million man from becoming our governor. But we still have some issues to address. And for example, that means that there are people in the state that even as we went from the county voters overwhelmingly approving an issue to limit money in elections, and now city voters have reaffirmed that same necessary and brilliant democratic ideal that we need to limit money in elections. People are still throwing money into elections, fortunately, at losers. Hopefully, Mr. Knight will resume his course towards philanthropy and stop trying to buy the governor's mansion, although he could make it look beautiful for you if you ever get there, Ted. So
can feel.
Next interesting things, I think we'll talk about the time starting Senate coming up. The election's been well discussed. I think that it's considering how much since the time of a decent Republican, Abraham Lincoln, the fall in November has been a time of national Thanksgiving. We should not necessarily make that the only time available to honor our native indigenous neighbors, and we don't just need to honor them, we need to apologize for a gross, genocidal, dishonest American history. So we're doing it in November probably because of some historical things that weren't really under their control, and I hope we will empower their voices so that they can tell us, as we move towards listening to them on every issue that matters to them, including climate change, when local, tribal nations and peoples feel the best time not to tuck them in with Thanksgiving and all that. We also do a fairly good job of letting them lead and bring the message that we need to hear back on the holiday formerly known as Columbus Day. I think it's an important historical thing that it just turned out that as we approach 11/11, the 100th anniversary of the armistice in Europe, we have to know that America has had brave, heroic soldiers, but we have not always bravely and heroically used our military. So I see that Mr. Walsh is here, and I want to thank all the vets that encourage us to really put the values of equality and equity and serving those in most need first. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next individual, please.
1138, request of Deanna Hunnell to address council regarding being homeless with a registered emotional support animal.
She needs a clear path to come through.
Thank you. Thank you. Correctly.
Us, of course, Star didn't do anything.
Oh, that's fine. And the microphone's muted. If you just want to slide the microphone. Thank you so much.
I find myself in a very...
Could you give your name to the record?
My name's Deanna Hunnell. This is Sam. Sam is my ESA. I've had her ever since she cracked her shell 34 years ago. She was born with brittle bone syndrome. She's broken just about every bone in her body. Yeah, she is just as dependent on me as I am of her, and we're very bonded. When I found myself homeless over a year ago, I wasn't able to take care of my home that I'd lived in for 25 years. And because I didn't pass my inspection, I lost my house. And 2 weeks later, because they didn't believe that my body was breaking down, that I was faking this. 2 weeks later, the surgeons of the U.S. of O said she has a life-threatening operation that she needs fairly soon because her next step could be her last. So, yeah, I had already lost my housing. So I found myself living in my car with my bird, and during the heat of the summer, we weren't allowed into libraries or a lot of shelters, and because I cannot go down on the floor, shelters was not, a lot of them except her, so I find myself, living in my car on the side of the street.
No, it's not all right. House the people. Use the money to house the people and
right.
stop the sweeps.
Excuse me.
I'm so
No,
sorry.
I won't excuse you.
Interrupt her.
People are dying.
You're in violation of the rules.
People are dying.
Sorry. She's my main concern. You know, when we did get accepted into a shelter that had animals, third floor was set up for cats, dogs, and people that had animals. But it was the third floor, and because of my disability, I'm so sorry.